In this video, I'm going to be answering someone's question about my current overcoming isometrics routine. So this question comes from @Guari2826. And they said, what is your workout routine for isometrics and overcoming isometrics? Thank you for asking that. And the truth is, right now, I really don't have one. For the most part, I use progressive resistance training as my main training strategy. However, when I do have an isometrics routine, for the most part, it is overcoming isometrics. And for my application of isometrics, it is very specific to the feats that I do. I don't normally use things like the iso chain and stuff like that. Sometimes I do when I'm experimenting with it, or if I'm getting nagging pain in my elbows or something. Isometrics is something I normally save for specific applications of the feats, or I might switch out an exercise to overcoming isometrics if my joints are bothering me. And the reason for that is because with overcoming isometrics, since there is no movement occurring at the joints, there is no joint abrasion, which makes them very joint friendly. That would be something I stick to until the irritation goes away. Now, one of the things when it comes to overcoming isometrics, and when I say it's not currently in my training program, is for me, I don't have just one training program. I routinely switch them out throughout the course of a training year, sometimes over the course of a couple of years, depending on what's going on in my life at the moment. When I created the ISO chain, I was experimenting with it just to see what I thought of it. And ultimately, I prefer the feel of weights, and I prefer the hypertrophic response that I get from weights. And I know that the biggest strength gains from isometrics happen to be within 15 to 30 degrees either direction of the joint angle, which is one of the reasons I save them specific to the feats, because I don't really need strength gains outside of that when it comes to performing the feats. Now, as far as what my routine was, or what it is most recently, right, is I would take a pair of dice, roll it, and however many seconds are up, however many dots are up, that is however long I would hold the contraction for. And then I would take a single die and I would roll it, and however many dots are up would be how many rounds I do that for. This way, it is constantly fluctuating. You see, one of the things when it comes to training, and this is one of the reasons that I switch things out throughout the course of a year or course of a couple of years, is because there's something called the law of accommodation. And basically, with this law of accommodation, well, with like any kind of stimulus, and that's what training really is a stimulus for your body to attempt to adapt to, is it's stimulus, recover, adapt. And when it adapts, it becomes a bit stronger. And then you repeat, stimulus, recover, adapt, stimulus, recover, adapt, stimulus, recover, adapt. However, and that's one of the reasons you get some gains in the beginning, but then you hit a plateau. That plateau is the law of accommodation. And it's basically your body's way of saying, whatever stimulus this is, it doesn't seem to be as life or death situation as I initially thought, so we don't really need to we don't need to continue to adapt to it. Which is one of the reasons you get beginner's gains. You make gains very quickly in the beginning of a program, but as you become more advanced, you have to be more strategic to keep those gains coming year after year after year after year after year, which it's easier to be strategic with those gains when it comes to using weights. It's not so easy when it comes to isometrics, which is one of the reasons I don't do them all the time. I save them for later. So it's like I might work with progressive resistance training for months, years, and then if I'm just getting burned out on that, like I just get every so often, I just get so sick of doing deadlifts or bench press or whatever it is, right? In which case, I might throw the whole thing to the side and just do isometrics for a couple weeks. This feels fresh. It's exciting because it's new. And then it's like after a couple weeks of that, I become sensitive to the weights again, right? So that might be something that I would do, is just switch it out every so often during a cycle. And then and the gains would come pretty quickly from the isometrics then. Doing isometrics year in, year out, the gains cease coming because sooner or later you just adapt to it. And then you burn out, and isometrics is kind of boring. So anyways, I hope that answers your question. If anybody else has any questions for me, drop it in the comments below, and I'll try to get back to you with your very own custom video answering your question. But if you like this video, let me know by hitting that like button. If you want to see more of this sort of thing, subscribe to the channel. You can also catch the chronicles from my various strength performances across the country. If you think anybody should see this, please share it with them. This YouTube thing isn't rocket science. And if you want to support the channel, do all the things that I just mentioned, or you could also pick up a copy of my book, linked in the description below, or you could just do a search for it on Amazon. But in the meantime, stay tuned for the next video. And stay happy, healthy, and strong. Eric Moss, over and out.